You all know why we've come here. The patrons have pushed us into a corner. Their magic has grown too powerful to hold in check. These villains are stealing the worship of our own followers. We must do something before they marshal their forces, before they destroy us and all we stand for. We've come to the Vortex to destroy the world. Life will be better after the sundering. Our followers will live on in the new worlds of air, fire, stone, and water. Our enemies will be trapped in the labyrinth to contemplate their dark ways. And we will guide the new order into the future. Help me, my friends. Let us summon the world's seal and begin the process of healing. Together all of Earth's elements. As we sunder it, so do we sunder the world. Thus we begin a new age.
"2,000 years ago, the Sartan Council sundered the world into 5 realms. One of them was a nightmarish prison called the Labyrinth, and into it was banished the entire patron race, your ancestors. This is the place you've always called home, and all you've ever wanted is escape. Your name is Haplo, and you are a patron. Not long ago, Lord Czar, the most powerful patron sorcerer of his generation, broke through the labyrinth's final gate. In doing so, he paved the way for others to follow. The path was still difficult, but not impossible. Your travels led you to the final gate, where the combined forces of the labyrinth waited to turn you away. The fight was hopeless. Alone, you never would have survived. But then Lord Czar appeared, and with his help, you were able to rout the dark monsters of the labyrinth. What followed is hazy. You remember stumbling out of the final gate, but then you collapsed on the ground, and Lord Czar's concerned face faded to darkness as you lost consciousness.
You do not need this book for your quest, Haplo. I am researching the Reformation, and as this book is very damaged, it's quite difficult. I certainly don't want it damaged any further. Ah, Haplo. Do you feel well enough to talk, my son? I was worried. You took some serious wounds in your dash for the final gate. It was all I could do to repair your heart rune and heal you. The few weeks since you escaped the labyrinth should have been enough time to recover, but we don't want to rush it. I know you have a lot of questions. I'll do my best to answer them, but first I'd like to give you some history. You've spent your life trying to escape the labyrinth and hating the Sartan who consigned our race there. But you don't really know the full story. Even I didn't know everything when I escaped, but I learned quickly. You see this city around us? The Sartan made this. They made it for us, if you can believe it, for when we emerged from the labyrinth, we were supposed to be docile, rehabilitated, brainwashed. Instead, we hate our Sartan jailers more than ever. There are libraries here stocked with books. Since my escape, I've been studying them. They tell me much, but not all. There are mysteries I cannot explain, but I will tell you everything I've learned. 2,000 years ago, our patron ancestors warred with the Sartan. We were winning. It was only a matter of time until we defeated the evil sorcerers, took our rightful place as leaders of the world, and freed the other races from their slavery to the Sartan. In desperation, a Sartan named Sama hatched a fiendish plan. He intended to sunder the world into 5 realms. 4 of these realms would be homes to the mensch races, elves, humans, and dwarves. The 5th is here, the Labyrinth. It was supposed to serve as a prison for our race. They created a magic artifact called the World Seal. With it, they succeeded in sundering the world. Our ancestors were trapped in the labyrinth, and the rest of the world was broken into the other 4 realms. They planned to lord over the realms and administer the labyrinth as we were rehabilitated. But something happened. They just disappeared, and with them, all of their good intentions. Without the guidance of the Sartan, the labyrinth became a slaughterhouse. Its magic made it aware, intelligent, and it wanted our blood. Life was a living hell for our people. But instead of breaking us as the Sartan wanted, the labyrinth has made us stronger. Many of us have escaped, despite the labyrinth's best efforts. I go back in every day to aid others in their way. I only needed to take you a few hundred feet. You even demanded that you cross the final gate on your own, without any help, before you passed out. You should be proud. Now, my son, I need you. Since my escape, I have been devising a plan to restore our people to our once glorious position. It is our birthright. To this end, you must carry out a very special mission for me. I need you to go into these realms. You'll not only be gathering information, but searching for the seal itself. With it in hand, I plan to reform the world from the broken pieces that the Sartan left us. But here I've been dominating the conversation. You must be very confused. I'm sure you have many questions for me. I'll detail my plan later.
How exactly did the Sartan sunder the world?
The Sartan commanded their dwarven slaves to forge an artifact called the World Seal. It consisted of 5 metal hexagons, each inscribed with a rune, a symbol, which represented one of the 5 realms. They broke the seal apart, and as they did, the world broke apart as well. It was sundered into the 5 realms, and each seal piece went into the realm that it named. As you see above my head, the seal piece that names the Nexus is here.
Tell me about the other realms.
Certainly, my son. The Sartan sundered the world into 5 realms. They based 4 of them on the elements: air, fire, stone, and water. The 5th, of course, is the Labyrinth. They are all separated by large distances, too far to travel in a lifetime. That's why the Sartan created the Death Gate. Through it, people can travel from one realm to any other.
Can you tell me about the realm of air?
The books here are rather sketchy about the realms, but of all of them, the world of air, or Arianus as the Sartan named it, is the one I'm most familiar with. It's made up of many separate continents which float in the air. The lower continents are populated by the dwarves. Those islands are plagued with almost continuous electrical storms. The higher continents, with much better weather, are homes to the humans and elves. Perhaps it indicates a pecking order in the Mensch. Who knows? The books don't say much more about it, regrettably.
Tell me about the realm of fire.
The realm of fire, or Prian, is a hollow world. Instead of living on the outside of the sphere, as we did on the original world, they live on the inside, along the inner curvature. At the center, 4 powerful suns throw their heat and light upon the ground. I believe it is the largest of the realms, but I know little else about it.
What do you know about the realm of stone?
Abarak, realm of stone, is not much more than a rock hanging in space. It's full of warrens, tunnels, and lava tubes. From the sketchy notes I read about it, it sounds perfectly horrible. Definitely the worst place to live of all the realms.
Can you tell me anything about the realm of water?
Chalestra is the realm of water, and in fact it is a ball of water. At its heart is a sea sun which warms and lights the interior. The exterior is completely frozen, exposed as it is to the cold of space. Sea moons orbit the sea sun. They are hollow, living creatures which draw energy from the sun. Inside, the Sartan built cities to house not only the Mensch, but themselves. I believe that they intended to finally live there to administrate over all of the realms.
Have you learned anything about the labyrinth?
Like I explained, the labyrinth was supposed to rehabilitate our entire race. With the Sartan in control, the test that it administered would have been difficult, even violent, but never fatal. The Sartan disappeared, and somehow the labyrinth became sentient. Its magic took on an intelligence. It started to kill us, slowly but surely. It toyed with us, always gave us just enough hope to keep us fighting. It created environments and monsters that even the twisted Sartan had never dreamed of. But we bested it. We escaped, and more of our kind are escaping all the time. But it is a trickle instead of a flood. Most of our race is still trapped inside. If my plan unfolds as I expect, I will free everyone at the same instant and bring an end to our imprisonment once and for all.
What is this place exactly? It's not a labyrinth.
It's known as the Nexus, kind of a way station. This city is where the Sartan were supposed to watch over the labyrinth. I believe they were going to give it to us as a place to live once we had been rehabilitated. It makes a perfect staging area for my plan. The Death Gate is a portal. It connects the 5 realms. With a good ship and the right magic, anyone can cross the Death Gate from one realm to any other.
Have you crossed the Death Gate?
No, I haven't been able. I've made preparations, but it's always been my intention to send an emissary, or more appropriately, a scout in my stead. In fact, I was hoping that you would be my eyes in these realms.
What kind of magic is needed to cross the Death Gate?
It's very simple, yet infernally unattainable. The books describe the necessary preparations. You need a ship, one powered by magic with the ability of flight. You need a steering stone, magically treated to guide the ship through the portal. But upon the stone, you also need the naming rune of the target realm. The books state this, but neglect to actually show the runes, as if they were common knowledge. None of the books depict these runes. For years, I've been researching the subject, reading every document, poring over every scrap of parchment, and I believe I've finally divined one of the runes, that of Arianus, World of Air. It's the only one I've been able to reconstruct, and it's taken years. I don't even know if it's possible to produce the others, given the pitiful research materials I have. It's my thought that the other runes might lie somewhere inside the realm of air. For some time, I've been planning to send someone there to look for them.
Do you have a ship?
Yes, the Sartan were kind enough to leave one for us. It didn't have the steering stone that such a ship requires, but I was able to reproduce one. Without the naming runes of the realms, of course.
Let's go back a step.
Certainly.
Can we talk about something else?
Of course. What do you want to know?
Where did the Sartan disappear to?
I don't know. I don't think their disappearance was planned. All of their documents indicate that they expected to be around for a long time to enjoy the fruits of their labor. It seems that one day they just vanished. I have a few theories. It's possible that they did plan to vanish. They might be hiding somewhere in the realms, using the disappearance as a smokescreen to make us careless. When the time is right, they will return with our deaths in their hands. In any case, I take nothing for granted. I must know where the Sartan went to. I must have vengeance. Our people cry for it. Somewhere in the realms there must be signs, clues. Eventually, we shall discover them, and the trail will lead us to the Sartan. Then we shall destroy them.
What were the Sartan like?
I've pieced together a picture from the books I've found. The Sartan were the opposite of us, even physically. As we have black hair with white ends, the Sartan have white hair with black tips. The runes that we place upon our bodies for protection and to enhance our magic, they shun. I believe that while the Labyrinth has forged us into a harder, stronger race, the Sartan have grown softer in their luxurious realms. They will be no match for us. They will look into our eyes and find the mercy they gave us, the hatred we've kept burning for thousands of years, and their own deaths.
You repaired my heart rune?
Yes. As the Labyrinth continued to attack you, the magic rune tattooed over your heart became weaker and weaker. When I discovered you, it was actually broken. As you know, heart runes must be complete to function. They sustain us, protect us. They are like circles. The magic of your being continually flows through it. If it becomes weak, you cannot cast spells. If it ever becomes broken, you fall ill. Luckily, I found you in time. I was able to draw upon my own life force to lend to you. It repaired your heart rune and made you strong enough to overcome the final hurdle of the Labyrinth.
Tell me about magic.
Certainly, patrons have magic in their blood. Once we were the greatest sorcerers in the world. If we had learned to work together as the Sartan did, they never would have stood a chance against us. Since then, we have lost much of our skill. We have forgotten many spells because they were useless in the Labyrinth and retained only a very few. We never lost our potential, though. To this day, we can cast any spell as long as we know how it is constructed, but we are pitifully ignorant. One of the things we must do before we confront the Sartan again is to relearn the magic that we have forgotten.
How does magic really work?
Magic is based upon possibilities. The possibility always exists that reality is a certain way. Imagine that a stone wall blocks your path. There is a possibility that a door exists in that wall. A wizard bends this possibility into reality until the door appears. All spells work this way.
How do you cast a spell?
Spells are made up of runes. You build a spell by putting these runes together to form a rune construct. When you have built the construct in your mind, you trace the design in the air. The magic catches fire and leaves a glowing trace behind your finger. Upon completion, the spell casts, and reality is changed.
How do you learn new spells?
The easiest way to learn a new spell is simply to watch someone casting it. All you have to do is mimic the motions, trace the same rune construct in the air, and you are casting that spell. Another method is to see it on paper. Sometimes people prepare books of spells. Other times they include spells to highlight their text. Spells could be found on any document. I've scoured these halls looking for any such books and come up empty. Perhaps the Sartan were careful about the text they left behind, just in case we escaped too soon. Finally, one may discover a spell permanently placed upon an object. When a wizard wishes a spell to be permanent, he can magically prepare an object to receive the spell, then cast that spell upon it. Then the spell is always visible. It engraves itself upon the surface of the object. By studying it, one can learn the spell.
Can you tell me anything about the spells I already know?
I'm afraid that, like most patrons, your repertoire is rather limited. You know only the most basic of spells, heat and cold, normally used to keep yourself alive in the harsh climates that the labyrinth can produce. They are powerful, but not very versatile.
Do you know any spells that you can teach me?
Yes, I do. There are 2 spells that I intend to teach you. Identify and Rune Transfer. Both will be very useful in your mission. Identify can supply information about any magic object or spell. If you encounter an unknown object or learn a new spell, but are unsure about its magical properties, simply cast Identify. It will explain everything to you. The second spell, Rune Transfer, is very specific. With it, you can transfer a rune symbol from any object to a magically prepared surface. This will be necessary to place the naming runes of the 4 realms upon the steering stone. After I teach you the spell, I will give you a marker with the naming rune of Arianas upon it. You must take it aboard the ship to the steering stone. There, cast Rune Transfer upon the marker and transfer the rune to the stone. Following that, the ship will be able to take you there, to the realm of air. Regretfully, I do not know the other runes that name the remaining realms. Hopefully in your travels you will discover these other runes. If you do, transfer them onto the steering stone in the same way. The Death Gate will never let you into the other realms if you do not.
Can we talk about something else?
Of course. What do you want to know?
How do you get back into the labyrinth to help our people escape?
The labyrinth doesn't mind letting people in. It's letting them out that it doesn't like. I think the labyrinth has something personal against me. It tries to lure me in as far as possible before it throws everything it has at me. Don't believe that I'm not afraid. Every time I enter, I wonder if I'll ever return. I've been able to get the best of that demon place many times, but every trip it gets more devious, more dangerous.
What is your plan?
The Sartan's plan was unnatural. They killed millions of Mensch and consigned our race to a living hell. I intend to undo the damage. I want to reform the world. Much like the Sundering, the Reformation will require all 5 of the seal pieces. I have the Nexus seal piece, but I need the other 4. The Sartan have hidden them somewhere in their realms. You must be my agent. I need you to go into the realms and find those seal pieces and bring them back here. When I have them all, I will reform the world, free our people, and bring the Sartan to justice. Now I know the naming rune for only one of the realms. I will give you a marker with the rune upon it. Use the Rune Transfer spell to place it upon the steering stone on board your ship. The stone will then be able to transport you to Arianas, the realm of air. Since I don't know the runes that name the other 3 realms, I can only hope that you will find them somewhere on Arianas. I also wish to know what happened to the Sartan. Their disappearance mystifies me. Finally, I want you to learn any new spells that you come across. It's only through the infusion of new spells that we will be able to build up our arsenal of magic. So, do you understand your mission? take your ship to Arianos, search for its seal piece and the other realm's naming runes, and gather any information you can about the missing Sartan and new magic spells. When you have finished, come back here, deliver the seal piece to me, and give me your report. Now I shall teach you the 2 spells you will need. Watch me closely. This is the rune transfer spell. Study it, remember it. This next construct defines the identify spell. Watch me again. That's all, my son. I am entrusting the fate of our race to you. Do not fail me. Yes?
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here. Yes, I forgot that you'll need some light for the ship's interior. I'll still have 1 glow lamp left. Feel free to take that one.
Oh my! You're huge! But you're not glowing. Are you a god?
A god? Of sorts, perhaps. Why would I be glowing?
All gods glow. At least everyone I've seen glows. How can you be a god if you're not glowing?
You've seen gods around? Do they call themselves Sartan by chance?
No. They just call themselves gods. Maybe you're thinking about some other gods.
Well, if you were a god, you'd know that we don't necessarily glow all the time.
The gods claim that they are gods because they glow. Anyone who doesn't glow can claim to be a god. You're big, but I don't think you're a god.
How many gods have you seen?
About this many. I think that there are more, but I don't get to see them.
Ah, you've caught me. I'm not really a god. I'm just a traveler.
A traveler? Nice to meet you. I'm Jar. You're awfully big not to be a god, but you don't act like one. They're always yelling and commanding and taking things. Gods aren't very nice. Look what they did to my electric zinger panel.
What did they do?
They tore it apart, that's what. They tromped in here on one of their studies, ripped out one of the control switches, and removed a zinger from on top of its pole outside. Do they think that we have spares? They didn't even tell me why they did it either. Just because someone's a god doesn't mean they have to be impolite, you know.
You don't like these gods very much, do you?
What's not to like? They're rude, imperious, and self-centered. I'd heard that gods were supposed to be generous and helpful. Just because you're born casting light, that gives you the right to boss everyone around?
Electric zinger? What's that?
The zingers are set up on the poles outside of the cave. When the lightning hits them, they suck up the electricity. I think the Kixie Winsy likes electricity or something. After the zingers have sucked up all they can hold, I pull these levers. Then the show starts.
Show? What show?
The zingers go crazy. They start spinning around and shooting sparks everywhere. Most of the electricity gets sucked into the Kixie Winsy, though, through the poles. Then my meters go back down, and I wait all over again.
The Kixie Winsy? What's that?
Why, it's the machine. How can you not know about the Kixie Winsy? It's everywhere. It digs our homes out from the earth. It makes water for us to drink and does, well, other things too. It's our responsibility to care for it, so it can care for us as well.
You mean that's all you do? Sit here and pull levers?
It's not that easy. You have to know the very best time to pull the levers. My family has been pulling these levers for years, and I'm the best lever puller there's been in a long time.
This is all very interesting, but can you tell me more about these gods?
Well, they only showed up about 100 years ago. They dropped from the air in a flying ship. We were curious, of course, and were prepared to greet them as friends. But a glowing figure emerged and declared itself our god. At least one of many. None of us glow, and no one had ever claimed to be a god before, so we believed it. Now they've moved in and taken control. Personally, I liked life without all this divine intervention.
When it arrived, your glowing figure claimed to be a god, and you bought it?
Why would someone lie about that? I wouldn't claim to be a god if I wasn't. Besides, he glowed. The way they explain it, you can't glow if you're not a god.
If the figure didn't glow, would you have believed it?
Probably not. If they looked like you, I would have just thought that they were big, but not gods. A few extra feet of height doesn't make you divine.
How exactly have these gods taken control?
They moved into the Kixie Winsy control room and kicked everyone else out. They're always doing tests and things to it. I don't like them tinkering with the Kixie Winsy as if they didn't know how to work it. I mean, if you're a god, aren't you supposed to know all that stuff? Anyway, they've also kept us away from the north exit. That's where their ship is. They've always got a guard there to make sure, like they don't trust us.
If you're so upset with the gods, why don't you just drive them off?
They're gods. You don't just tell gods to go away if they get inconvenient. I might not like them, but they're ours. If they weren't gods, though, you can bet we'd have gotten rid of them long ago.
Nice place you've got here.
Thank you. I share it with Limbeck. He'll want to meet you. I'm sure he'll be delighted to see a visitor. We've never had one before.
Limbeck? I take it that he's another dwarf?
Of course he's a dwarf. What else would I be sharing my quarters with?
Is that his shirt hanging on the wall?
Yes, he never picks up after himself. I made that hook specifically so he'd keep his clothes off of the floor, but I still have to do it for him.
Does that mean you're attached?
Well, yes. Someone's got to look after my Limbeck. He'd fall apart without me.
This room doesn't look big enough for two.
Maybe not two creatures as big as you. I'll have you know that this is one of the most spacious rooms on Drevlin. We're lucky to have it.
You must really like this Limbeck.
I'm glad that I can take care of him. He's such a gump sometimes. He gets so involved in his work that he even forgets to eat. I have to bring him in his food. That's why I keep the bread and marmalade handy. It's his favorite.
Isn't that kind of a limited diet?
Well, it's what he likes, and I have to make it perfectly. If there isn't enough marmalade, he calls it dry. If there's too much, he's so messy that he gets it everywhere. That's why I can't let him make it himself. He always puts far too much on.
Does he like these gods as much as you do?
He doesn't quite dislike them. He simply doesn't believe in them. He thinks that these gods have been taking advantage of us. We've been serving them when we were meant to serve the Kixie Winsey. He says that we've been oppressed.
What does he do that keeps him so busy?
Mostly he writes speeches. They're supposed to enlighten the masses. He keeps telling people that the gods aren't gods, that he's seen the gods when they weren't glowing. Most dwarves don't believe him. Even I have a hard time, but I support him. He's my Limbeck, after all.
Can we talk about something else?
All right.
Nice place you've got here.
Thank you. I share it with Limbeck. He'll want to meet you. I'm sure he'll be delighted to see a visitor. We've never had one before.
Let's back up a second.
All right.
I've enjoyed talking with you, but I'd like to explore this Kixie Winsey thing.
Oh, certainly. Say hello to Limbeck if you get a chance. He's just in the next room.
My word, what are you?
I'm Haplo. What are you?
Haplo? Oh, that's your name. Forgive me, I forget my manners sometimes. I am Limbeck Bolt Tightener. Welcome to my home. You're not a god? No, you can't be. You're not glowing. I assume you're a traveler. A traveler from where? Where are you going? Do you know the gods? What do you think of the Kixie Winsy?
Hold on, little one. Let me ask you some questions first.
I'm very sorry. Sometimes my curiosity gets the better of me. I'll try and be patient. Please go ahead, ask me anything.
Ever heard of the Sartan?
The Sartan? Is that a place? I'm sorry, I've never heard of it.
I'm looking for a piece of something. It's metal, hexagonal, and has a symbol on it. It's very old. Do you know where I might find it?
I wish I could help, but I'm afraid I'm not familiar with anything like that. If it is very old, there's only one dwarf that might be able to tell you something. Old Grapple Rock Digger has been here forever.
Grapple Rock Digger? Do you think he'd help me find it?
Old Grapple isn't very helpful in the best of moods. And lately, the section of the Kixie Winsy that he is responsible for has broken down. It's made him extremely sullen. He won't talk to anyone except in insults.
What's being done to fix the Kixie Winsy?
Normally, the Kixie Winsy automatically fixes itself. But when something breaks that isn't vital or necessary, it leaves the section unrepaired. We don't know how to fix it, and Grapple refuses to leave it. He's been sitting there for weeks.
Do you think he could be persuaded to help me anyway?
I don't think so. We tend to be a fairly stubborn people and Grapple much more than most. If he doesn't want to be moved, he won't move. If he won't talk to you, no amount of persuasion will help.
If I told him I was a god, would he help me out?
Grapple hates the gods more than anyone. He remembers the days before the gods, when we worshipped the mangers. He feels that the gods displaced them. I think if you told him you were a god, he would die before he uttered one word to steer you in the right direction.
Where can I find this rock digger?
Grapple sits in the same place every day, waiting for the Kixie Winsy to be repaired. Each day he sits there, he gets more and more surly. Go north to the intersection and follow the left wall. That will take you to him.
How old is Grapple Rock Digger?
He's been here for as long as anyone remembers, long before I was born. He'll tell you he remembers when the Kixie Winsy was built, but that was thousands of years ago. I think what he forgets, he makes up.
Enough about this rock digger. Tell me more about this place.
Certainly. What do you want to know?
What are you writing?
Speeches. I have to convince my fellow dwarves that these gods aren't what they claim. They've oppressed us for too long. We must break the chains and take back our freedom. I'm just not very literate. I can't put my ideas down on paper very well, but I'm determined.
Why don't you ad-lib your speeches?
Oh, I couldn't do that. Every idea must be perfectly worded. One misspoken word could have the opposite effect of what I'm trying to achieve. I only deliver my speeches after I'm entirely happy with them.
Why don't your people believe you?
I think I'm getting to them. No one is happy with the gods, but it's a different matter convincing them that the gods aren't divine at all.
How are they oppressing you?
They moved in, told us where to work and for how long. Our heritage tells us to care for the Kixie Winsy. Since the gods came, we haven't been able to do that. They make us use the Kixie Winsy to produce water for them. Parts of the great machine are breaking down, but unless the part has something to do with water production, we're not even allowed to look at the problem. They tell us where to live, they've broken up families, they keep us from the sacred places like the control room. If they were gods, I would assume that they had their reasons, but they aren't. They are just another race taking advantage of us.
Where'd you get all of these parchments?
I gathered them from all over the Kixie Winsy. No one reads them. In fact, no one can. They're too old. So I write my speeches on the back of them.
What makes you so sure that the gods aren't what they claim?
I've seen them. Without the glow. I discovered that it's artificially produced.
It's not natural, eh? How do they make it?
It's magic. According to some of the older dwarves, everyone used to be able to use magic. They've cast a spell to make themselves glow.
How did you learn this?
When the gods arrived, they dropped from the sky in a flying ship. After they moved in, I snuck aboard the ship. I actually saw one of them, not shining at all. He was moving his hands in some intricate motion over a bunch of little statues. When he was done, the statues glowed brighter. I must have gasped because he immediately looked over at me. I ran, and he never found me. But ever since, they've posted a guard outside the ship.
A flying ship?
Yes. One of the byproducts of the Kixie Whinsey is water. For their own reasons, they pump the water into the ship and leave with it, only to return a few days later with new gods and an empty ship.
They're guarding the ship now.
Ever since my excursion, they placed one guard outside of their ship. Because dwarves tend to be fairly noisy, even when we're sneaking around, the gods put someone there who has very sensitive hearing. His ears can detect the slightest sound of movement out of the caves toward the ship. Consequently, no one's gotten anywhere near it.
Isn't that enough to convince the other dwarves that they aren't gods?
I haven't told them. It might go against their beliefs to the extent that they would just stop listening to me. I simply can't risk it. The only way to convince them would be by removing the god's glow. Once my fellows have seen beyond the artificial shining, they will rise up and cast them out. I can't figure out how to do that, though.
Let's talk about something else.
Very well.
Let's get back to talking about this place, shall we?
Certainly. What do you want to know?
What is this place?
This is one of the sacred places of the Kixie Whinsey. The broom closet. I'm lucky enough to have this place to work.
What exactly is the Kixie Whinsey?
The Kixie Whinsey is everywhere. It's all around us. The humming you hear is the Kixie Whinsey at work.
How big is this machine?
Larger than anything. No matter where you go, the Kixie Whinsey has been there first. It digs tunnels and fills them in according to its own whims. We live in the chambers that it builds. If it fills up our homes, we find somewhere new to stay. Its controls and instruments are scattered throughout the entire continent.
What does it do?
It serves the purpose of the Mangers. Long ago, the Mangers built the Kixie Whinsey and asked us to care for it. We have done so ever since.
In other words, you have no idea what the Kixie Whinsey does.
Well, no. It isn't for us to know. Our purpose is to monitor and care for the Kixie Whinsey. The gods don't seem to know what it does either. Ever since they moved in, they've been running tests of all sorts on it. They've restricted everyone from the control room where they've based their tests.
These Mangers, are they still around?
No. The Mangers have been gone for many, many years. Some of the young ones don't even believe in them anymore. Only stories and legends keep the memory of the Mangers alive.
Let's talk about something else.
Certainly. What do you want to know?
What is that you're using for a candlestick holder?
It's all I could find. If I had a better candlestick holder, you can bet that I'd be using it.
That's a mighty big jug of ink you've got there.
I found that jug of fast-drying ink quite a while ago. Despite the amount of speeches I write, I've only used a small portion of the ink the jug contains. I believe it will last indefinitely.
That's all. I have to go.
Very well. I must get back to my speeches. Feel free to look around. Sorry, but I'm using this one. If you want to write your own speech, feel free to use any of the other papers. I'm not hungry enough to eat the marmalade straight from the jar. A bit dry this time. That's a very nice shirt. I've got one just like it, only it's white.
Five more minutes.
What the heck do you want, you overgrown, dim-witted god wannabe? And speak up!
Are you Grapple Rock Digger?
No, my name's not Groople Potlicker, you rockhead. I'm Grapple Rock Digger. Who's asking?
My name is Haplo.
Flappo? Interesting name. I wouldn't want to be saddled with it, though.
Even Flappo is a better name than Grapple Rock Digger.
Then it's a good thing my name isn't Apple Snotfinger. Sheesh.
That's what I said, Grapple Rock Digger. Can't you hear very well?
What did you say? Speak up. I can't hear very well.
I said your name was Grapple Rock Digger.
I know my name is Grapple Rock Digger, Dirtrag. I told you that.
I'm a god. Answer my questions or suffer the consequences.
A god, eh? Well, you can just go right back to wherever you came from and to blazes with your questions and consequences. You again? I thought even someone as thick as you would realize that I don't want to talk to you. What is it this time?
Why are you sitting beneath that dripping black gunk?
I'm not moving until the Kixie Winsy is fixed, and that's final. If dripping gunk isn't going to make me move, you sure aren't.
Nice stool.
There's no pool around here. What are you, blind?
Could I ask you a few questions?
Listen, I'm sitting under a broken pipe that's dripping black goo on my head, and the gods have commanded everyone to stay away so they can't fix the problem, and you want me to be friendly? Answer all your questions with a smile? Well, I'll tell you what, until the Kixie Winsy is fixed and those gods are gone, I'm not talking to anyone. No stories, no questions, nothing.
You won't talk to me until the gods are gone? Isn't that an awful lot to ask?
Who's asking you? As far as I'm concerned, you can bump your head on every tunnel ceiling you find until you realize that I'm not going to talk to you.
What's wrong with the Kixie Winsy?
A length of pipe is rotted away. I had to shut the main valve to keep it from spewing black gunk all over the place. So until the pipes are repaired, I can't risk reopening the valve.
Why don't you fix the pipes?
It's not my job to fix it. Even if it was, I'd need something to fix it with.
What about that box labeled pipe repair on the floor?
Everybody's rummaged in that box taking what they want without regard for the fact that the Kixie Winsy might actually need it. At one time, there were 5 pipe fittings in the box. Now there aren't any.
What became of the missing pipe fittings?
Who knows? Some folks have absolutely no consideration. They took my pipe fittings for one silly purpose or another. Did they ask my permission? Not once. Why, the gods even made off with one of them. Even if I could get those other pieces back, I'll never see that one again.
Wait a second. What exactly are you holding in your ear?
It helps me hear. It's a pipe fitting. I guess I got it from the box.
Tell you what, if I repair your pipe, will you tell me what I need to know?
Why not? Fix my pipes and I'll answer your questions afterwards. As long as the gods are gone as well. I don't think very well with all of these walking lamps about.
I don't think the pipe helps your hearing all that much. Can I have it?
Very well, as long as I have your word that you'll use it to repair my pipes. Will there be anything else?
Let's start over. We seem to have gotten off on the wrong foot.
Have you looked at your overgrown feet lately? Wrong feet are all you have.
I'm looking for a seal piece, a hexagonal metal artifact with a symbol etched into it. Maybe you could tell me where I could find it.
I may have seen something like that. Doesn't matter, though. You obviously want to see it for yourself, and that's impossible. As I recall, there used to be a tunnel that led where you want to go, but the Kixie Winsy filled it up a long time ago. There's no way to get there anymore.
If the Kixie Winsy filled in the tunnel, couldn't it just as easily dig another?
And how are you going to convince the Kixie Winsy to dig where you want it to go? The gods have been trying to control it for years, and they've gotten nowhere. Besides, I'm not going to tell you where it is until my pipes are repaired. Fact is, I've said too much already.
Why are you so grumpy?
Wait a second. That's a question. If you're trying to trick me, it won't work. I'm not saying anything.
Maybe changing the subject would make you happier.
Not likely.
No, I said stool. What are you, deaf?
Can't understand a word you said. New to the language, are you?
This must be a bad time. I'll talk with you later.
Fine. I'll just sit here under my broken pipe. You go have a nice life.
Sorry, but since I don't own a proper candlestick holder, it's the only thing I have to keep my candle upright. Drat! Now I'll have to start over.
Who are you? Are you a slave? I don't recognize you and you aren't chained. I certainly hope you aren't an elf sympathizer.
I'm not a sympathizer. Then again, I'd say the same thing if I was.
Of course, that's true. I'll simply have to believe you. I don't have much choice. I've been here too long and hope is wearing thin. My name is Andrews. I'm King Stephen's cousin, a duke.
Why are you here?
It's a long story. I was leading my people against the elven forces on one of the smaller Volcarian isles. We were greatly overmatched, and they defeated us easily. They killed most of my army and took the rest as slaves, including myself. Luckily, they didn't recognize me as the king's cousin. I would be more valuable as a hostage for ransom than as a slave.
Why haven't you been rescued before now?
When elves capture humans, they divide them into small groups aboard their fleet of flying ships. That way, rebellions are manageable and usually non-existent. Aboard these ships, slaves are impossible to track. Even if there was a plan to rescue us, they'd never be able to single out this particular frigate.
If King Stephen knew you were here, could he rescue you?
It's possible, I suppose. If you can get to my cousin and tell him that I'm being held prisoner here on Drevlin, he would do everything in his power to rescue me. You'll need something to convince him, though. Go to Eulandia, the fourth island. Give this to the king. The ring should be enough to convince him to believe you.
Who are these other people?
Members of my army. Now, like myself, slaves to the elves. Although the ship is powered mostly by magic, it requires manpower to steer it. Following the elves' commands, we manipulate the ropes you see here, which change the attitude of the wings. That's what we do. That's all we do.
What's the story behind these gods?
Drevlin is important because the Kixie Winzy, as these dwarves call it, pumps out water as a byproduct to whatever else it does. Water is scarce throughout the realms. In order to control this water source, the elves have convinced these gullible dwarves that they are gods. Their claim is based on a simple glow spell dreamed up by the ship's wizard. The crew is fairly small, only about 4 or 5 elves, but they are spread thin throughout the caverns. In order to maintain the spell, the wizard has created miniature statues that he uses as substitutes. He keeps them all aboard the ship in one place. As long as the glow spell lasts on the statues, no matter where the elves are, they continue to glow, and the dwarves continue to believe that the elves are gods.
That's all. Thanks for the information.
As you wish, but I can only hope that you will return to aid us.
Hello again.
I've enjoyed.
Oh, certainly.
Why are you sneaking around on royal grounds, knave? What's your business here?
I'm here to see the king. Would you tell him I'm here?
You and everyone else in the kingdom. Now, if I start making special trips to tell the king you're here, I'll have to do it for everyone else. If you had real business with the king, you'd have an appointment. Now just turn around and go back the way you came.
You don't understand. The king isn't expecting me, but I've got to see him. His cousin is in danger.
Is he in danger of running out of money? He must be pretty desperate if he's enlisting help from the likes of you. Do you have any proof? A signed note from the Duke? Anything?
Let me think about it.
Sure, you do that. If you pull anything out of the air that supports your story, you be sure and hand it over. Until then, you'd better be on your way. Trying to bribe a royal guard, eh? I should cart you off to the dungeon, but I'll just give you a warning this time. Next time, try using something other than that as a bribe. It might work a little better. Trying to bribe a royal...
What do we have here? A brigand who's stolen my cousin's signet ring? Someone who has kidnapped the Duke? What do you want from me, ransom? I must warn you, I don't deal with traitors to the crown. It's hard to talk business with someone who's missing a head. Now that we've dispensed with the preliminaries, tell me why you're here.
Your cousin gave it to me to substantiate my story. If you'll allow me a couple words between threats, I'll relate the facts.
Indulge yourself, my friend. I'm all ears.
Well, it's like this.
I appreciate the information, but there's little I can do. Drevlin is the elves' main source of water. They guard it jealously. My armies wouldn't make it anywhere near the ship that Andrews is trapped aboard. There is another way. If my cousin is out of the elves' clutches, we will be able to free him. Somehow you have a way to get in and out of Drevlin undetected. Return there, get that slave ship to lift off, to go back to the Tribus Empire. I don't know how, but you must do it. Their ships traditionally follow a route through space that I control. We will set an ambush for it. As soon as we see the frigate, we'll box it in. Those ships are usually manned by skeleton crews. We shouldn't have any trouble wresting control. After the ship is ours, we'll bring it here and free all of the slaves on board, including my cousin. You are now my agent. If you are able to pull this off, I'll make it worth your while. I'll inform my men that you represent my authority, just so you won't run into any trouble. We are at war, you know, and my men are very suspicious of potential spies. Good luck, my friend. I hope to see you back here soon.
Just because King Stephen made you an agent and gave you run of the palace grounds doesn't mean I have to like you. You can do what you want, but leave us alone. If you had real business with the king, you'd have an appointment. Now just turn around and go back the way you came.
Why would you think that I want to talk to another dirty, stinking human? Why don't you just leave me alone before you start making me angry?
You don't look like you're in any position to make demands.
I may not be able to leave, but I certainly don't have to waste my time talking with you.
Waste time? What else are you going to do?
Sit here and not talk to you. Why would you think that I want to talk to another dirty, stinking human? Why don't you just leave me alone before you start making me angry?
Why are you here?
I was unlucky enough to let myself be captured by Trian. I suppose it's better than if the king caught me. He would have executed me for sure. Trian's keeping me alive to get whatever information he can. So far, I've told him nothing, and that's just what you're going to get as well.
You don't like humans?
You are barbarians. Uncouth, unclean. Fit only to be slaves or dead. Your only hope for civilization is to be conquered by the elven nation.
So, do you like these accommodations?
What do you think? I'm stuck in an archetypical dungeon cell. The light in the wall never shuts off. I haven't had anything to eat or drink for hours. Ah, what I wouldn't give for some wine right now.
All right, I'll leave you alone.
Good. Bugger off. Ah, it's gooseberry wine. I guess you're not so bad for a human. It wouldn't hurt to pass a little time talking.
Great. So, what information is Trian trying to get out of you?
He's trying to get information about troop movements and war strategies. The problem is I don't know anything about those things. I'm not going to tell him that, of course. His hope of getting that information is the only thing that keeps me alive.
So, you're a wizard, huh?
Of course I am. I'm only of the 4th house, but it makes me formidable nonetheless. If I hadn't been distracted by that serving wench, Trian would never have gotten the drop on me.
If you're so powerful, why haven't you escaped?
Every time Trian casts the Create Reality Pocket spell, he summons this cell from the Otherwhere. After he leaves, the cell is cast adrift back into the Otherwhere. It's impossible to make that connection from this side. Even if I could break through these bars, I wouldn't be able to leave the cell until Trian returned and reestablished the link. At that point, he would keep me from escaping.
If you hate this dungeon so much, can't you use your magic to change it?
Well, if I could get out of these bars, I'd probably douse that glow lamp on the wall. It's impossible to get any sleep with the lamp always shining in my eyes. In order to remove the glow spell that's on it, I'd have to create a shroud of darkness and place it over the lamp, and it's out of reach.
What do you know about the elven ship on Drevlin?
I think that's where we get our water, right? Elves have had control of that area for years. I know that you humans would love to take Drevlin for your own, but I'm certainly not going to help you do that.
Do you know anything about the Kixie Winzy?
No, not really. It's been there forever, and it makes water. I think that there are dwarves there, right?
I know you hate humans. What do you think of dwarves?
Humans are enemies. You are barbarians. I suppose you rate hate. But dwarves are nothing. They are meaningless. As long as they serve our purposes, let them. It doesn't really matter how we get them to do it.
Can you teach me any spells?
Interested in magic, eh? I don't reveal my secrets to just anyone, you understand, especially not to humans.
How exactly does that Shroud of Darkness spell go?
Come here, I'll show you. Now first you need a black cloth. The color is important because black absorbs all light. When you place the prepared cloth over the glowing object, the cloth is going to do just that, absorb the light, albeit to an even greater extent. Then you cast the Shroud of Darkness spell upon it, like so.
This is much better than the pipe I was using. It's very thoughtful of you to offer it. I'm afraid I've lost my pipe, so the candlestick holder you gave me is the only thing I have to keep my candle upright. I can't do without it.
Hide in the storeroom. They'll kill you if they find you here.
Congratulations. You actually succeeded. I didn't expect it, but I am pleased. Andrews and his men are safe. My thanks, friend.
Not only did you get your cousin back safely, but now you have an elven ship. I think you made out pretty well.
Very true. That elven ship will certainly come in handy, especially to infiltrate elven-controlled lands. You've proven your worth.
Wasn't there something about making it worth my while?
You're correct. I'm not one to forget my promises when it suits me. What do you want?
Do you have a daughter? I was thinking hand in marriage.
Lucky for my unborn daughter that I am currently childless. I'm afraid you'll have to come up with something else.
How much does the royal treasury hold?
Quite a bit. What does that have to do with your reward?
Perhaps you could just supply some information.
Certainly. Tell me what you'd like to know. I'm not sure how I can help you there. Even my learned wizard knows precious little about the Kixie Winzy. There is something I might be able to offer, though. The Kixie Winzy is an ancient Sartan artifact. Only the Sartan knew exactly what it did and how to control it. Since they disappeared ages ago, all that remains are the books and stumped documents they left behind, but they are very scarce. In fact, the only place you can find them is in the Tower of the Brotherhood.
Why is the Brotherhood the only place you can find these documents? Doesn't anyone else have a collection?
A long time ago, private researchers kept their own collections. They soon experienced very fatal accidents and their collections were appropriated by the Brotherhood. Pretty soon, whenever Sartan artifacts were discovered, they were delivered directly to the tower. Nowadays, the Brotherhood usually employs the researchers outright.
What's the Brotherhood?
The Brotherhood is a guild of assassins. They pride themselves on the completeness of their library. They've gathered information from every corner of Arianis. This includes all of the Sartan artifacts they could find. No other collection exists anywhere. If documents exist that discuss the function of the Kixie Winzy, they're in their tower.
Where is the tower located?
That's a problem. The tower is located in Skirvash, a smuggler's haven that lies on the border of Elven and human lands. No nation governs that city. It's completely lawless. The Brotherhood has an iron grip on the place. Neither we nor the elves have been able to get a toehold. Skirvash is a haven for criminals and cutthroats. It wouldn't be a problem, once there, to go about your business unnoticed. People go there for the anonymity. The problem is getting you there in the first place. Currently, the elves control space around that area. I can't sneak anyone in or out. Any ship with the markings of the royal fleet is attacked before it even gets near the city.
What about that elven ship I just delivered to you? Couldn't that sneak me into Skirvash?
Yes, that's true. We've never had our hands on an elven ship before. They certainly wouldn't be expecting it, especially so soon after its capture. They'd have no reason to stop it from reaching Skirvash.
Very well. It looks like my only alternative. Let's get going.
Very well. I will staff the elven ship with my own soldiers. They will fly the ship to Skirvash and wait there while you search for your documents. When you have completed your business, they will escort you back to Drevlin. I will assume that this clears me of my debt to you. I wish you luck, friend.
We don't want to answer any questions at the regular port, such as why King Stephen's men are flying an elven frigate. Better you get a little exercise and walk into town. Come back when you've finished your business, and make it quick. Just being around elven space makes me nervous, but waiting so close to the Brotherhood is downright terrifying.